Good evening, everybody. Today we're going to look at how to create a landscape material in Unreal Engine 4. I'm going to be using, let's see, version 20.1-ish? Yeah, 20, something like that. This is something that's out there quite a bit, but this is really for more for my students who are interested in how to do this particular thing. But if you like my video, you're more than welcome to follow along. Here I am under New Projects, and I am in a Blueprint project. And I'm going to just pick, let's see, for the fun of it, I'll do a third person just to have some fun. We won't need any starter content for this, so I'll just say no on the starter content. Quality, that can be maximum or scalable depending on your device, that's fine. And I will call this landscape tut for tutorial, and I will create project. And here we are inside of Unreal Engine 4. Go ahead and hit play. I have a little character and I can kind of run around. Alright, but that's not why we're here. I'm going to go ahead and hit escape on that. And let's set up our area just a little bit. I like to, over here by filters, I like to click these little three bars to bring up my content browser so I can see everything. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder for materials. Whoops. If you already have a materials folder, you don't have to create this. I do not have one in here, so I'll go ahead and make one. And while I'm in here, I'm going to open up materials, and I will also add my landscape. So new folder. I'm going to call this landscape. I guess data. That'll be good enough. Then I will go back to materials. Oops. We're just going to create a new material here. So I'm going to right click and material. I'm going to call this landscape material. Cool. Now before we can do anything with the landscape material, we should have a landscape in here. So I'm going to go up to File, go down to New Level, and I'm going to choose the default level. Look at that. Most of the stuff in here is kind of garbage, so like this little platform, I don't really need that. I'm going to go ahead and chuck it. Then I'm going to come over to my Modes tab over here to the left, and I'm going to go to Landscape. And I'll take my landscape material, I will plug this in right here. There's nothing in it yet, but good enough. And then on my location, Unreal likes to set this to 100 in the Z. I'm going to set that to 0 so that my landscape is snapped to my grid here. And then I will hit create. Look at that. Landscape's ready to go. I can sculpt on it and do some fancy work. Now it does turn black if you happen to have your material on it because there's no material data currently inside the material. So that's fine. Just going to kind of mess around a little bit. But if I hit play, you can see that my character is here and I can walk around in the landscape. Good enough. I'm going to exit this, go into my modes tab here, go to placement mode, and I will open up my landscape material. Don't forget to save this every now and again because Unreal likes to crash. Let's go. I'll save this. I don't have a maps folder, but I'll just go ahead and put this here. I'll call this default. Good enough. Alright, so to make a landscape material that looks kind of convincing, we need to set up the layers for our landscape. So, of course, we have our shader node right here, and then right here we have our search bar. You can click in here, or you can right-click on the canvas. And I need a landscape layer blend. So if I type in land, I have all these little options, and I want a landscape layer blend. So I'll go ahead and grab that. And for now, I'll just plug that right into my base color. Now there are some more advanced ways of setting this up, but if you are a beginner, this is really more for you. So with my landscape layer blend here, I'm going to go ahead and select it. You know it's selected because it's got that orange highlight. And then over to my left, I have my details tab, and I have layers right here. In my layers, you can see I have 0 elements, And each one of our layers is going to be a different element. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull this up so you can see. And I'll hit the little plus sign. That creates the first element. Go ahead and hit the little drop down right here. And for the first one, I'm going to go ahead and call this rock. For my blending type, I will use... So we have weighted blend, alpha blend, and height blend. These actually work now, but what weighted blend does is it takes the weight value, this preview weight here, takes this value here, and it tries to take all the preview weights and it stacks them up until they equal 1. So a preview weight of 1 means that this particular layer will be 100% opaque or solid. A preview weight below that means it's going to be blended between something else. If you do it based on height, then same kind of deal. These will account for that, but it won't do it based on weight. It'll do it based on like a stacking order. So anyway, I'm going to choose I'm going to do weighted just to keep things simple. And I will give this a preview weight of like 0.25. It doesn't really matter, it's just so long as it has some value in there that is less than 1. Then I'll add another one. So I hit a little plus sign, open up the next one. In the order of things, dirt kind of sits on top of rock, so we'll go ahead and say dirt. Doesn't matter if it's capital or lowercase, just kind of pick one. I'm a little OCD with that. For the preview weight on this one, I'll just do the same thing again. So 2.5. And since I'm going to have 3 layers, I could just do 0.33. You know, kind of even them out. Remember that the higher this value, the more opaque this blending value is going to be as it's blending through. And then for my third layer, kind of scroll back up here. Under elements, I'm going to add a new one, and this will be my grass layer. So I'll go ahead and name this grass. Keep this as a weighted blend, and preview weight, I'll do this as 0.33. And once again, you don't have to have these all the same. You can give them different weight values, that's fine. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to do a consistent weight. So now you can see as we've added these in, our landscape layer blend has grown a little bit. Now it has a layer rock, a layer dirt, and a layer grass. For my color, I don't have any textures made, so I'm just going to create some colors using some vectors. So I'm going to come over to my little box over here, my little search category, and I type in constant. And all a constant is a type of variable. So a regular constant is just one value. A 2D constant holds 2 values, x and y. A constant 3 is an RGB, and a constant 4 is an RGB alpha. We only need a constant 3, so I'll go ahead and pull that in. Just so we have our RGB channel here. So it's going to be red, green, and blue. And I'm just going to plug this into my rock. And I'm also going to duplicate this. To duplicate, I'm going to do Control and then W, and it's going to make a new one. And I will plug that into dirt, and I'll do that again, and this will be our grass. Okay. Now these don't look like very much, so I'm going to go ahead and change the color. I'm going to open up this color. You can double click on this little window here, or you can click on this little black bar right there. So whichever. They'll open up this little window, and I can get my color picker. Now for rock, I'll pick a gray. Get like a medium gray, kind of shift the color a little bit. Good enough. For my dirt, I'm going to go with more of a beigeish brown color. And then for grass, natural, I'm going to do green. So pick a green that I like. Now, if you don't see these changing or updating, a lot of times the second bar here, you can see where it says old and new. If you don't see the new change, then you won't have an update over here. Okay, so just make sure that new changes, and then you're good. slightly richer grass color. Sweet. Now they are being blended through. I'm going to hit the checkbox here. And now I have a landscape material that I can start working on. So go ahead and minimize. Alright. So you can see out here that our landscape has not quite updated just yet. Sometimes it doesn't happen. So what we got to do is go over to our landscape. So in our modes tab, we're going to go ahead and choose our landscape. And make sure we're in painting. Now you should see your target layers here. If you don't see them, what you can do is go back up to modes. I'm going to go to modes here. Come back over to my landscape, and now I can select my landscape. Go ahead and click on it. You'll know that it's selected because you can see like a little orange outline over your landscape. You'll also see in the details tab to the right that you now have some landscape options. So it says landscape here. I'm going to scroll down to the material, and I'm just going to hit this little disconnect button where it says reset to default. And then I will reapply the material. So let's go ahead and drag it out of here right into that box. And that should get it to update. So I'm going to go back to my landscape in my modes here. And then make sure that you're in paint. And then down at the bottom you have layers right here. Okay. So now I have my layers added to my list here. But you can see it says none. So what I gotta do is I have to hit this little plus sign right here. I have to tell it to take the layer info and drop it into here. So I'm gonna hit the plus sign. And I am using a weighted blend, so I'll choose weighted. And in my list here, I'm actually gonna drop this in my materials. So I open up materials and I have my landscape data, and I'll hit OK. You can see now it's gonna populate. I'm gonna go down to dirt, choose a little plus sign. I am using weighted, so I'll choose weighted. And I'm going to go ahead and go to materials, landscape, data, and apply. Grab my grass, hit the little plus sign, weighted layer blend, materials, landscape data, and OK. And you can see that those are kind of populating right here in my landscape data info. And if I pick one of these colors and start painting out here, you'll see it start to update. So there it is, trying to do its job, and there's one. Go ahead and do the grass as well. And I'll apply some of that rock. And you can see my 3 different colors coming through. And if I paint, you can see that the painting info, like my strength set to like 0.3, if I paint, grab grass, it slowly blends. You can see as I hit it, let's get an angle. It slowly blends through until it's solid. Here's this one. If I want to remove the color, all I gotta do is hold shift and it will undo the color. Now it only undoes the color that I'm currently selecting. So in this case I have grass selected. You can see as I paint through, holding shift, that it does not remove the dirt. It only removes the grass. So here's the dirt. If I hold shift, I can remove the dirt, but I can't remove the grass. And same thing, the rock is my base layer. If I hold shift and try to remove the rock, it just peels back to whatever is available. Okay? So now I can kind of paint up my landscape any way that I want. And every time you paint in a different area, it has to update. So let's go ahead and start painting this. Make a trail. Let's see. And if I hit play, here I am in my new wonderful world. And here are my awesome colors. Now you can replace any of these colors with actual textures and you'll get a more desired effect. All right. In the next tutorial, we're going to look at how to create actual textures to go along with our landscape. And in future tutorials, we will create a landscape material that automatically updates. All right. In the interest of keeping it short, I'm going to call the video here. And if you guys found this to be helpful, go ahead and like and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.